Imagine strapping a camera to the fuel tank of a turbocharged Suzuki Hayabusa, pointing it down a Swedish highway packed with morning commuters, and then twisting the throttle past 270 kilometers per hour. Cars blur past like they're parked, lane lines vanish into a single white streak. The speedometer climbs past numbers that most motorcycles will never touch, and you're weaving between family sedans and delivery trucks at 3 times the legal speed limit. That footage is real. It was filmed on the E4 motorway between Stockholm and Uppsala, and the rider covered 68 kilometers in just 14 minutes and 55 seconds. Do the math on that and you get an average speed of 273 kilometers per hour in traffic on a public road, with no helmet cam stabilization, no safety crew, and no second chances. The man on that motorcycle called himself Ghost Rider. And for over a decade, he was arguably the most infamous traffic offender Sweden had ever seen. Police couldn't catch him, courts couldn't charge him, and to this day, he has never been convicted of a single offense connected to those rides. So how does someone pull off the most dangerous motorcycle stunts ever filmed on public roads, sell videos of those crimes around the world, become what he claimed was Sweden's #1 most wanted traffic offender, and still walk away without a single conviction? This is that story. It was the summer of 2002 in Stockholm, and a group of motorcycle riders were sitting at the Rosenhill Cafe talking about a video series called Getaway in Stockholm. If you have not seen those films, they were underground car chase videos that showed modified sports cars racing through Stockholm while being chased by police. The series had become a cult hit across Europe. The bikers at Rosenhill were not impressed. In fact, according to later interviews, the man who would become Ghost Rider described the car series as fake in every way. The police cars, the speeds, all of it. His words on the subject were blunt. He and his crew said they could do the same thing, only better, only real, and on motorcycles. They decided to make one film, just one. They called it Ghost Rider, The Final Ride. It was supposed to be a joke, a one-and-done middle finger to the car guys. That one film turned into 6 videos, a decade-long manhunt, and one of the most legendary underground video franchises in motorcycle history. The rider who filmed that first video was not some random adrenaline junkie. He was a professional-level motorcycle rider with a legitimate world record to his name. On April 18, 1999, at Bruntingthorpe Proving Ground in Leicestershire, England, a Swedish rider named Patrik Furstenhoff set the Guinness World Record for the fastest motorcycle wheelie ever recorded. He hit 307.86 kilometers per hour, balanced on the rear wheel of a turbocharged Honda CBR 1100XX Super Blackbird, that is 191 miles per hour, on one wheel. Furstenhoff was a member and co-founder of the Swedish Wheelie Team, a group of riders who specialized in extreme high-speed wheelies. He was a motorcycle mechanic by trade, and he had been riding competitively since the late 1980s. By 1993, he was already pulling 256 kilometers per hour wheelies at Barkarby Airfield on a turbo GSX R1100. This was not some kid who stumbled into danger. This was someone who had spent over a decade building turbocharged motorcycles and pushing them to their absolute limits. That Guinness record is the key to understanding everything that came next. Because when Ghost Rider appeared on screen for the first time in 2002, dressed head to toe in black Alpine Stars leather with a blacked out helmet visor and no license plates, the motorcycle community immediately started asking one question: who is this guy? And the answer was hiding in plain sight inside the Guinness Book of Records. That first video, Ghost Rider: The Final Ride, was filmed on a black Suzuki GSX R1000 with a basic Sony camera mounted on the fuel tank. The production was rough. The footage was shaky. It looked like exactly what it was: a bunch of guys with a consumer camera doing incredibly illegal things on public roads. It spread first through file-sharing networks like Kazaa and eDonkey, the same platforms people were using to download music and movies in the early 2000s. Then came video pressings through the official Ghost Rider website and through Duke Video, a UK-based motorsport video distributor that would go on to release the entire series. The first film featured that legendary Uppsala run, Stockholm to Uppsala, 68 kilometers, average speed 273 kilometers per hour. When Swedish tabloid Aftonbladet covered the story in October 2002, the headline translated roughly to "Overtaking at 273 kilometers per hour, drivers endangered in new motorcycle film." Sweden had never seen anything like it, and if the first video was a firecracker, the second was a stick of dynamite. Ghost Rider Goes Wild dropped in 2003 with more Stockholm freeway runs, more police encounters, and a sequence where Ghost Rider rode a snowmobile across dry pavement at high speed just because he could. The production values were climbing, the stunts were getting crazier, and the audience was growing fast. The real escalation came with Ghost Rider number 3, Ghost Rider Goes Crazy in Europe, released in 2004. This is the one that cemented the legend. Ghost Rider took his operation international, filming in France, the Netherlands, and across Scandinavia. He completed the entire Paris Périphérique Ring Road in under 10 minutes, a ride that paid homage to a French motorcyclist known as Le Prince Noir, who had done the same loop in over 11 minutes back in 1989. The motorcycle on this video was a carbon fiber Suzuki GSX R1000 K4, and the riding was on another level. Ghost Rider was threading through European traffic at speeds that turned other vehicles into obstacles in a real-life video game. And this is the part that still does not make sense. He never hit anyone, not once. Across 6 videos and years of riding at these speeds, Ghost Rider never caused a single collision with another vehicle. But other people inspired by these films were not so lucky. And that part of the story is coming. The sequels kept coming. Ghost Rider number 4 in 2005 pushed into turbocharged territory with a GSX R1000 making over 280 brake horsepower. Number 5, Back to Basics, was delayed until February 2008 after a master tape was damaged in production, forcing reshoots in Spain. By this point, the videos were being discussed on motorcycle forums worldwide, bootlegged across Asia and Eastern Europe, and referenced in mainstream media from Germany's Spiegel TV to British motorcycle magazines. The Swedish rock band Europe had even used Ghost Rider footage in their 2004 music video for Got to Have Faith. This wasn't underground anymore. He had crossed into pop culture, and the whole time the internet was eating him alive. File sharing had gone from Kazaa to BitTorrent, and every new video was available for free download within days of release. The same platform that made Ghost Rider famous was slowly destroying the business that funded the films. Now, the machines themselves deserve their own chapter in this story. Ghost Rider did not ride stock motorcycles. His bikes were built by MC Express, a Swedish performance shop with engines prepared by a builder named Erik Marklund, who has been building turbo engines for Furstenhof since 1993. The turbo Hayabusa from Ghost Rider number 1 produced 417 brake horsepower. To put that in perspective, a stock Hayabusa makes around 175. So this was more than double the factory output, crammed into a motorcycle frame designed for a fraction of that power. The Suzuki Hayabusa was already the most famous speed machine on 2 wheels. When it launched in 1999, it was the fastest production motorcycle ever made, capable of over 300 kilometers per hour straight from the factory. Manufacturers were so spooked by the speed war that they voluntarily agreed to limit top speed on future models. Ghost Rider took that already legendary platform and turned it into something that belonged on a runway, not a road. The most famous build came later. The naked turbo Hayabusa from the final videos made 499 brake horsepower, nearly 3 times the output of a stock Hayabusa, with no bodywork, no fairings, just a massive turbocharger visible from across a parking lot, bolted to a motorcycle frame. That was never designed to handle that kind of force. That bike became the single most recognizable illegal motorcycle in the world. So with all this footage of blatant, filmed, documented criminal riding, how did Swedish police never manage to arrest Ghost Rider? The answer comes down to one quirk of Swedish traffic law. To prosecute someone for a traffic offense in Sweden, authorities needed to identify the driver at the moment of the offense. Ghost Rider's setup made that impossible. Every ride was done in an identical black leather suit, black gloves, black boots, and a black helmet with a completely opaque dark visor. You couldn't see a face, couldn't see skin, couldn't see a single identifying feature. The license plates were either removed or covered before every filmed run. And even though police knew these videos existed, knew they were being sold commercially, and knew they documented real crimes on real Swedish roads, they couldn't link the figure on screen to any specific human being with enough certainty to bring charges. Stockholm police investigator Ann Lindberg summed it up in a January 2009 interview with Aftonbladet. She said that the fact he had never hurt a bystander was a miracle, and that the fact he was still alive himself was an even bigger one. The police wanted him badly. According to his own interviews, Ghost Rider claimed he was #1 on Sweden's most wanted traffic offender list, and that there was a reward offered for evidence leading to his identification. Whether or not that ranking was official, the pursuit was real. In the films themselves, there's footage of police roadblocks, helicopter pursuits, and one memorable sequence where a Swedish officer actually tries to physically pull Ghost Rider off his motorcycle during a wheelie at a checkpoint. Ghost Rider simply accelerated away. He also had at least one documented close call outside Sweden. In an interview, he admitted to a pursuit in the UK where he was chased for 70 miles before ditching his motorcycle in a car park and running on foot. He came up with an excuse when police found him, and he said they clearly didn't believe him, but they sent him home with a warning anyway. There was also a widely circulated 2003 clip from Germany that many people thought showed Ghost Rider getting arrested in Hamburg. The reality was much more absurd. German police stopped him on an unregistered bike, asked to look at the machine, admired it, took photos with it, and let him go. Not exactly the dramatic takedown the video title promised. His own claimed pursuit record was 6 police cars, 2 vans, and a helicopter in a single chase. He evaded all of them. In a blog interview, he summed up the situation himself. He said the police wanted him badly at first. He was on national television, not just on the top 10 wanted list, but #1. There was a reward for information leading to his identity. But over time, he said, the police figured out who he was and what he did. They just weren't 100% sure enough to act on it, so they couldn't do anything. That last detail is what makes the whole saga so unusual. The police essentially knew. The media definitely knew. Motorcycle journalists across Europe had connected every dot. But knowing and proving are two entirely different things in a courtroom. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the Ghost Rider story, hit that subscribe button. We cover stories like this every week, the kind of insane real-world stories that sound like they were pulled from a movie script. Now let's get into how the mask finally started to slip. While Ghost Rider was releasing videos and collecting fans, journalists were closing in. The identification trail started in November 2005 when Sweden's Slits magazine published an interview describing Ghost Rider as a talkative foreign stunt rider who was nearly 40 years old. That profile matched one person in Sweden's motorcycle world almost perfectly. UK publications were the first to formally connect the dots. Motorcycle News and PB Magazine identified Patrick Furstenhoff as the man behind the helmet. The logic was straightforward. He held the Guinness wheelie record. He was a member of the Swedish wheelie team. He was the commercial operator behind the Ghost Rider video distribution. And he physically matched the build of the rider on screen. There was no smoking gun, but there was a mountain of circumstantial evidence. Then on January 14, 2009, Sweden's biggest tabloid, Aftonbladet, published its own investigation with a headline that translated roughly to Ghost Rider may have been exposed. They identified a 40-year-old Stockholm man as the likely rider. His response? He denied it, flatly. He told Aftonbladet that the company he worked for distributed the films, and that the idea of the same person driving, producing, manufacturing, and selling the videos was a bit far-fetched, which, looking back, was either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Because by 2011, he was competing at the World Wheelie Championship at Elvington Airfield in Yorkshire under his own name, attempting to break his own wheelie speed record on a turbo Hayabusa that looked suspiciously familiar. The Elvington attempt did not go as planned. Technical problems with the turbocharger forced him to retire without completing a full run. Before the attempt, he told Motorcycle News that he was scared of Elvington, that people expected him to set a new record like it would be easy, but that it would be the biggest fight he had ever had on a motorcycle. He mentioned that riding there the year before had left him in pain for weeks. His neck hurt. Everything hurt. He was getting older and weaker. That vulnerability made him human in a way the Ghost Rider character never was. Behind the blacked-out visor and the 499 horsepower Hayabusa, there was a middle-aged mechanic with 2 kids who was starting to feel the years catching up. The character was immortal. The man underneath was not. And this is where the Ghost Rider identity gets genuinely fascinating. Furstenhoff has never legally, on the record, in a courtroom or sworn statement, confirmed that he is the Ghost Rider. His 2009 denial to Aftonbladet still technically stands. When journalists from Superbike magazine interviewed him in June 2014 for an article titled "Ghost Rider Talks to Superbike," the conversation apparently happened, but the rider's position remained carefully constructed. He exists in this strange legal gray zone where everyone knows. He basically confirms it through his social media and public appearances, but the official admission has never happened. Part of that is probably legal self-preservation. Part of it is that the mystique is the brand. Once you confirm you are the guy in the mask loses its meaning. And for a character built entirely on anonymity, that confirmation would be the one thing more dangerous than any Swedish highway. Now, no conversation about Ghost Rider is complete without addressing the dark side. While he never hurt anyone in his own riding, his influence had real consequences. On May 2, 2011, a German rider known as Turbo Rider, who had explicitly modeled himself on Ghost Rider's videos, was killed when his motorcycle collided with a Volkswagen van that was turning across traffic. He died at the scene. German motorcycle forums reported the details, and the connection to Ghost Rider's influence was widely discussed in the European riding community. A motorcycle enthusiast, dead on a public road, riding in a style directly inspired by videos he watched and idolized. And it was not just Turbo Rider. Across Sweden, multiple sport bike fatalities in the mid-2000s were linked by media coverage to the Ghost Rider phenomenon. Young riders were buying turbocharged Hayabusas, watching the videos, and trying to recreate what they saw. They did not have the decades of track experience, the custom-built machines with proper safety modifications, or the intimate knowledge of specific road stretches that Ghost Rider had spent years memorizing before each filmed run. In 2012, when a new Ghost Rider video appeared showing a ride from Luleå to Boden in northern Sweden at a top speed of 280 kilometers per hour, the 23-year-old rider behind it gave an interview to the newspaper Norrländska Socialdemokraten. What he said was revealing. He admitted he saw almost nothing at all during the ride and just took his chances. He said it was purely an impulsive decision, that they were sitting at home on a Sunday with nothing to do. And then he said something that does not get quoted enough. He said his mother and father were sad after seeing the video, that there were many tears, and that it was not nice at all. He felt bad for days afterward. His final message was simple and direct: don't even try it. People should not be injured just because they have been inspired by someone driving fast. The motorcycle world was already split down the middle on Ghost Rider. Lars Blaine, writing for the technology publication Gizmag in January 2012, captured the divide perfectly. He described Ghost Rider as someone who represented the absolute peak of riding skill and fearlessness to some people, an almost mythical figure cutting through the gray mass of law-abiding commuters. But to the majority, Blaine noted, he was the worst kind of road danger, someone with the genuine potential to cause serious harm to others, not just himself. Ghost Rider himself seemed to understand the contradiction. In one of his blog interviews, he said he hoped people thought of him as an idiot, an entertaining, dangerous idiot. And then he added that he would hate to think of anybody copying him, followed by a single word of profanity. That response was more self-aware than most people give him credit for. That tension is the heart of the Ghost Rider story. Is he a legend or a menace? The answer depends entirely on whether you focus on the rider's skill or the risks he forced onto every single person sharing those roads. Families in minivans, truck drivers, commuters who had no idea a motorcycle was about to pass them at the kind of speed where reaction time does not exist. The video era came to an end in 2011 with Ghost Rider 6.66 What the F, the final release featuring that monstrous 499 brake horsepower naked turbo Hayabusa. In January 2012, Furstenhoff announced a lottery to give away that exact motorcycle through the Ghost Rider website. No public winner was ever announced. And then things got quiet. In March 2016, a crowdfunding campaign appeared on Fundraiser for a project called Ghost Rider 7: The Revenge. The pitch was nostalgic, written by someone who clearly wanted to recapture the magic. The funding goal was 100,000 euros. It raised 395 euros total. Over the next decade, essentially no one contributed. Furstenhoff blamed piracy. In the campaign description, he wrote that 99.99% of fans had started downloading the movies instead of buying them, and because of that, there simply was not money to make a new film. The file-sharing networks that helped spread the original Ghost Rider video in 2002 had ultimately killed the business model that funded the entire franchise. There is also the question of whether Ghost Rider was always one person. The multi-rider theory has circulated in motorcycle forums for years. The most commonly named alternative rider was Joachim Karlsson, nicknamed Iceman, a fellow Swedish wheelie team member who was killed at the Isle of Man TT on May 30th, 2005. No one from the Swedish wheelie team ever confirmed or denied his involvement. Stronger evidence came from that 2012 Luleå to Boden video. The rider who gave the interview afterward identified himself as 23 years old. Unless Furstenhoff had discovered a time machine, someone else was wearing the suit by then. So, where is Ghost Rider today? Patrick Furstenhoff is alive and in his late 50s. He lives in Adenau, Germany, right next to the Nürburgring, and lists his profession on Facebook as security and driver instructor. He has never officially, legally, on the record confirmed that he is the Ghost Rider. But his Instagram handles are Patrick_Ghost_Rider_Furstenhoff and They're Along Ghost Rider, the second of which has over 736,000 followers. The tagline on that account reads, "Only copies have died." In 2022, he released a 20th anniversary Uppsala Run video on the Team Ghost Rider YouTube channel titled Old and Crazy. And in early 2026, he posted on Facebook about plans for a 222 miles per hour wheelie world record attempt with a new turbocharged Hayabusa built by his longtime engine collaborator Erik Marklund and MC Express, listing potential sponsors including Suzuki, Öhlins, and ISR Brakes. As of now, that attempt has not happened, and it remains unconfirmed outside his own social media. Think about where this story started. A group of bikers at a cafe in Stockholm in 2002, laughing at a car chase video they thought was fake, deciding to make one motorcycle film just to prove a point. That one film turned into 6. Those 6 films turned into a legend. That legend turned a turbocharged Hayabusa into the most infamous motorcycle on the planet, made a Swedish mechanic into his country's most notorious traffic offender, and pioneered the entire helmet cam outlaw motorcycle genre that now dominates YouTube with millions of views. The visual grammar Ghost Rider invented, the first-person helmet camera, the blacked-out anonymous rider, the speedometer climbing while traffic becomes a blur, that is the template for every bike life video, every street ride compilation, and every motorcycle stunt channel that followed. Beyond the videos themselves, Ghost Rider fundamentally changed how the world saw the Suzuki Hayabusa. Before Ghost Rider, the Hayabusa was known as the fastest production motorcycle in the world. After Ghost Rider, it was known as the outlaw's weapon of choice. Turbo Hayabusa builds became a global industry, and tuner shops from Florida to Thailand marketed their kits with Ghost Rider's motorcycle as the reference point. Erik Marklund and MC Express, the team behind the original builds, became legends in the turbo motorcycle community. Furstenhoff never went to prison. He was never even charged. Swedish police knew who he was, the media had named him, and he was practically waving from his own Instagram account. But the gap between knowing who someone is and proving it in a courtroom turned out to be wider than the E4 motorway. The real question about Ghost Rider was never about speed. It was about what happens when someone is genuinely, verifiably talented enough to do something incredibly dangerous, and nobody can stop them. Does the skill make it acceptable? Does the footage make it art? Or does every frame of every video represent a moment where someone's parent or child could have been killed by a stranger chasing a number on a speedometer? Anne Lindbergh called his survival a miracle. The family of the German turbo rider might use a different word entirely. And Furstenhoff himself, now in his late 50s, living next to a race circuit instead of riding through public traffic, seems to have made his own peace with the answer. That's not a question anyone else can answer for you. If you found this story as wild as we did, check out the video on the screen right now. We cover the craziest untold stories in the motorcycle world, and trust me, you do not want to miss what is coming next.